Hello, and welcome to my channel. On this channel, we'll discuss everything classroom management. And what great time than to start now, the beginning of the school year. So I know in the area that I live, teachers have already started back. My daughter's school, their school district, they'll start back next week. So here's a video for all my new teachers. This is especially with you in mind, and even some teachers who've already been teaching for some years and just need some extra ideas. All right, so here's number one. When you're setting up your classroom, always, number one, first think about where are your students going to be focused majority of their time. Are you going to be teaching from the smart board, Promethean board? Are you going to be teaching from a whiteboard? Will you be teaching from both? If so, where are they located? Try your best to position the desk in the position where students will have the best visual. In a perfect world, it'll work out perfectly. But we know we don't live in a perfect world. So what you do is, based on your dynamics of your classroom, the number of seats in your classroom or the number of desks, whether you're going to do tables or desks. I became a fan of tables, although I wasn't before, for collaborative learning. Maybe your school already has a preference of how students seat and how they're seated. Maybe they do collaboration groups where there's no option, it's groups. So think of that. Also think of what are you going to be doing majority of your time. If your students are going to be working in groups 80%, 75% of the time, then set your classroom up like that. You don't want to set your classroom up till you have to maneuver your classroom consistently. Matter of fact, you want to do the least maneuvering of furniture. Number one, classroom management is what our focus is. So having everything set up and organized is number one. Number two, and this is just talking about the tangible physical things, right? Number two, once you get your desk and your furniture set up, by the way, don't think that you won't change it or feel like you might not need to change it or feel like you have to keep it how you set it up. Not at all. You adapt to your students and what works best for you and the functionality of your classroom. So number two, functionality. Make sure everything in your classroom has a purpose. There is no need to put a whole bunch of stuff in your classroom that you're not ever going to use. It looks really cute, or items that turns into toys instead of tools. Okay, you don't want all of that extra stuff in there. And then also remember this concept: your classroom. You want your classroom to build with your class. So everything, all posters, you should not have a classroom full of posters. Research, there's a lot of research and experience speaking here that you want to build your classroom with your students. You want, whenever you put a poster or anchor chart, which is now the big thing, that you build that anchor chart with them. They see where it is in the classroom so that they know where to locate that information, whether they want to do it intentionally or they accidentally just look at it and learn something. You want your classroom to be full of purpose. So one, setting up your classroom. Two, make sure you have everything that you put up in there for the first week, make sure it has a purpose. Now, number three, once you set up everything, that whatever you have in that week, that first week, make sure it's stuff that you're going to use every day. Like a pencil sharpener, pencils, set up your paper. If they're going to need paper on the first day, set it up where you want to have it, so that when everything is set up, you then going to sit at your desk and you are going to write down how they are going to utilize whatever it is. Even their desk. This is where your desk is. It does not move. You go over explicit directions. That's what helps you have effective classroom management. And effective classroom management allows you to have effective lessons. And effective lessons allows you to have productive school year for you as well as for your students. When I tell you one thing affects another, it does. And classroom management is first before curriculum, which is why it's very important that you go over how your class is managed, how you guys work as a classroom family. Give you some hints with the family. As a classroom family, you have to teach that explicitly, the same way you teach reading, math, science, social studies, whatever it is that you're teaching. The same way you teach curriculum is the same way you teach your classroom and the expectations. So the way your classroom is set up has a purpose, and each thing that's in there, it has its own description and lesson that you will be going over your first week. your first week. And most school districts that I've worked in about 3 or 4 of them, that's the norm. Every first week you do not dive into curriculum. You get to know your students, and your students get to know you, and you get to make sure that they're well acquainted with your classroom. The smoother that is, the smoother your year is, and everything else will then trickle down into it. So this is just video 1. We went over 3 things, which is 1, position your furniture in a way to be most effective for them to learn and focus. Think about visibility, and also think about focusing on any distractions that may be windows, what's happening outside, the classroom, the classroom door, is it going to be open, is it going to be closed? Either way, are kids facing that way? And if so, is that helpful? So you need to think about what it's like to be a child. Now, if it's your first year, a lot of this stuff, you're really going to have to get your feet wet. Mistakes are part of learning. Adults are not exempt from that. Embrace your mistakes, learn from them, grow from them. Okay? I'm going to try my best to give you all the wealth that I know, all the mistakes that I've done, and things that I have done that worked. Okay? So this is video 1. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, put them in the comments below. I will be coming with video 2 coming very soon. I have not decided how often I'm going to post them, but we'll see.